yeah, but what if the grandpa wants to die because he's really old and he's just asking for help?
Yeah, like assisted suicide. What about that?
I don't want to touch that with a 40-foot pole.
Hi guys, welcome to the South Park podcast. I'm joined today by my friend Sarah Noel. And today we have a very special episode because I am going to be talking along with Sarah about the first episode I ever saw, which is Death.
It looks like death.
Brr.
It aired September 17th, 1997 when I was just a little rascal. And Sarah, do you want to talk about what the episode is about?
It's about death. Literally, the Grim Reaper. It's also something about censorship and overprotective parents who allow their kids to be babysat by the TV and hold the people who produce these TV shows accountable for what their kids are watching and how they behave, how they're influenced by it.
And it's also the inspiration for the South Park movie, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That's
it's
in there.
what it all came from. It's basically this episode, but bigger, longer, and uncuttier. And this episode is also about euthanasia and Stan's grandpa wanting to die.
I'm not being silly. Kill me. I'd do it myself, but I'm too damn old.
So I'm going to start by telling you what this episode means to me. It is the first episode I saw ever, and my introduction to this was the opening after the credits. After the opening credits, I see Grandpa Marsh at the table wanting to die, blowing out his candles, and I just immediately start laughing. And this was a time when I was going through very bad depression, so it was unusual to hear me laugh or be happy or jolly or dancing around like a little girl. And when I was watching it at my grandpa's house. I used to sit in their back room and watch TV all the time. And I was just sitting on the floor with this tiny little TV, kind of like the one behind me, except a lot smaller. And flipping through the channels, I came to this. And as I was watching it, I was just, laughing my ass off. And eventually my grandpa came in the room and he's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "I don't know what it is." And he said something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, that looks like a real great show," sarcastically. And then he's like, "I'm glad to see you laughing again." My parents let me watch the show because it brought me a little bit of happiness. And that was mainly my mom and my grandparents, though, not so much my dad.
You had a very different experience from what the the premise of the show is about.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I was allowed to watch it, but if my dad had been around a lot, then he would try to take it away from me. He even said that. He's like, "I didn't want you watching Beavis and Butthead or the South Park. That's bad shows. They have bad language on that."
Is that what your dad sounds like?
Mm-hmm. Sadly, yes. And I shouldn't be talking about my dad on here, but he doesn't know how to use the internet anyway, so it's okay. But does this episode mean anything to you, Sarah?
This was one of the ones it took forever for me to even see because it wasn't really playing in reruns much by the time I started watching the show. So I don't remember if I saw it on TV ever or if it was just like once the season 1 DVD came out, I saw it there. But I knew about it, and I knew of it, and I'd been, it was one of those ones I was like waiting for because I wanted to make sure that I was all caught up. And, I kept like a list when I was a kid of just, I had printed out from the internet a list of all the episodes that existed so far, and I was like checking them off. So I knew that this was one of them that I hadn't seen yet.
What is this?
And
It's Terrence and
I wish I remembered more about. There was nothing so impactful about this one as it was for you.
Yeah, I could relate to a lot of things you just said. Like, there were certain episodes I didn't originally see on TV I saw when the VHSs came out. And I'd write a little list. Actually, at first, I'd write my own episode title because I didn't know what they were.
Oh yeah, I did that too for a while.
Yeah, and then
Well, for the new ones.
Yeah.
Because I had like the episode guide printed out, and then it this is still during season 3, I think, that they would advertise the next episode, but I didn't know the title yet. So when I was recording all of them. At one point I had gotten a VCR for my birthday, and then I started recording every episode, and it had a timer on it, and it also had a thing where you could write notes. So I would like type in a made-up episode title, or I would like write it on the label of the tape or whatever, just whatever title I came up with. And then I don't know, it seems like later on they started giving the titles ahead of time, so I was able to give actual titles after that. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm more of a Kyle in this episode, because as far as it started out I wasn't allowed to watch the show, and then it just kind of happened where they just started letting me. It just kind of happened, and then but the movie was still off limits. So, but I always kind of related to Kyle because, you know, my mom was the overprotective, Jewish mother, and I was scared of getting in trouble because I was usually a good kid, but I just wanted to watch this so badly that I was willing to break the rules, but I was scared to do it.
Yeah, same. I was a pretty good kid too, and overall I think I was Cartman because my mom spoiled me and let me do whatever I wanted. But she was still kind of like Sheila a little bit. Like, she didn't like that I was watching South Park, but she let me do it because she knew it'd make me happy. Kind of like Cartman shouldn't be eating all this crappy snack food like Cheesy Poofs and stuff, but it makes Cartman happy, so she lets him do it anyway.
But I think you turned out a little bit better.
I turned out better. I don't know. I'm pretty bad.
Than Cartman?
Yeah, at the time I turned into Hitler.
This isn't the first time we see Terrence and Phillip, is it? Or is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so this is their answer. This is Trey and Matt's answer to all of the actual real-life mothers saying that this show is nothing but poop jokes and farts and toilet humor. And
the critics. And making fun of the critics for saying it was nothing but fart humor. And
so that's where Terrence and Phillip came from. Like that, I guess those characters never would have existed if they hadn't gotten that feedback.
So that can be pretty awesome when they're getting negative feedback, because it energizes them into making fun of the people who are dissing them.
And that evolved into like the Canadian characters all kind of being like that, and everyone, especially Canadians, love the Canadian characters. Like, nobody doesn't like them.
Yeah.
Except for that one time when we were expecting to hear who Cartman's father was.
Yeah.
But I wasn't involved in that. That was before my time. But
I was involved in that. But I'll save that for that episode if I ever do it, or if we ever do it.
Oh, exactly right, Terrence.
But yeah, they weren't meant to be Canadian in the beginning. They actually kind of saw them as British. So I guess they could be British Canadian, but...
Yeah, it's always been... I feel like they chose Canada because it was like they were spoofing British humor without actually like being literal about it. Mm-hmm. So it's like the shows like Monty Python, those British shows that they grew up watching, that they got their sense of humor from.
I love it when the freaking Statue of Liberty blinks.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that was really funny for some reason when I was a kid.
Oh no, it's still funny.
Oh, yeah,
I was waiting
funny
for that. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, it's gonna blink.
Because we were thinking the same thing.
And Randy it's so funny how he looks in these seasons. Like there's no chin, there's no cleft chin.
Yeah.
And like no eyebrows.
I remember them saying in like a season 1 commentary that he looks like he has Down syndrome. And I always thought that was really funny, and now I always think of that anytime I see old Randy.
I like the line, if you have any complaints, you can direct them to that brick wall over there.
Yeah, the brick wall.
That's probably my favorite joke in this one.
If there are any questions, you may direct them to that brick wall over there.
I like his tits. They kind of look like mine. I don't have all those weird liver spots, though. Not yet. I love this shot for some reason, with Kenny dead on the street and them all just looking at him. Like, I love it when they use it in merchandise for some reason. I think that was on the big inflatable sofa I bought a long time ago.
There's something to like in every season. It hadn't hit its stride quite yet, but there were hints of it there, especially in certain episodes. And even if it's not like at its peak yet, it's still good. It's still enjoyable. It's just different.
Like this podcast. It hasn't developed into much yet, but we're trying, right?
Yeah, season 3 will be like amazing.
Yeah, I can't really compare this podcast to South Park in any way, shape, or form.
Come on down to South Park and meet some friends of mine.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. I was joined today by Sarah, and we shared our thoughts on the 6th episode of South Park entitled Death. And we hope we enlightened you and we made your night with all our beautiful words and looking back on the old times and all that good stuff. So, if you like us, if you don't like us, like and subscribe anyway, because if you don't, I'm going to come get you. I'm going to find you. I'm going to get you.
I'm planning a trip to Africa. Did you know over 400 people are eaten naturally by lions in Africa every year?
That's my silly grandpa.